Beyond the exotic wildlife and lush greenery, the jungle hides some truly terrifying secrets. The kind that sends shivers down the spine of even the bravest explorers. From long-forgotten ruins, where the bones of ancient sacrifices are said to whisper in the dark, to shadowy beasts lurking in the undergrowth with unblinking eyes that follow your every move. These jungle discoveries aren't just unsettling, their nightmares come to life, and certainly aren't for the faint of heart. With that being said, here are some scary jungle discoveries that can't be explained. Ancient ruins and lost cities. Jungles aren't just wild, they're alive with secrets, clutching the echoes of ancient civilizations that once ruled the earth. Beneath the dense foliage and tangled vines lie the remains of powerful empires, still daring explorers to uncover their mysteries. Take Tikal in northern Guatemala, a city that once stood as the Mayan Empire's crown jewel. Tikal was first brought to modern attention in 1848, when a Guatemalan expedition led by Modesto Mendez, the governor of the Petén region, and Ambrosio Tut, a local priest, officially documented the ruins. Guided by locals who whispered of a forgotten city swallowed by the jungle, the expedition ventured into the dense rainforest. The air was thick with the scent of decay, and the cries of unseen creatures filled the oppressive silence. When they finally emerged before Tikal's towering temples, their awe quickly turned to unease. Shadowy vines coiled around the structures like skeletal hands, with over 100,000 people thriving within its walls. At one point, Tikal was a bustling hub of culture, power, and stunning architecture. The city's towering pyramids pierced the jungle canopy like ancient monoliths. These pyramids, many over 200 feet tall, loomed like ancient sentinels over a labyrinth of ceremonial plazas, narrow alleyways, and dense jungle. However, by the 10th century, Tikal vanished. The Central American tropical jungle consumed it, leaving behind only massive stone structures, forever silent. Today, walking through Tikal's empty streets, you feel the weight of its tragic and violent past. Human sacrifices were a common ritual here, and the city's sudden collapse still stirs up questions. The ruins, though majestic, are filled with an unsettling air, as if the jungle is holding onto its darkest secrets. This mystery would find its eerie echo in another lost city, one that, like Tikal, vanished from history but was never truly forgotten: Ciudad Perdida. It's often called Colombia's hidden gem because it remained undiscovered for centuries. It lay deep in the Sierra Nevada mountains of northern Colombia, covered by the dense jungle. It wasn't until the 1970s that treasure hunters rediscovered the site, buried under thick vegetation. Built by the Tairona people around 800 CE, it predated Machu Picchu by centuries. However, the city didn't just fade away, it was abandoned when the Spanish arrived, vanishing from history. Rediscovered in the 1970s by treasure hunters, Ciudad Perdida has since become one of the most dangerous and mysterious expeditions to undertake. The trek to reach it is brutal, slicing through the dense jungle, where dangers like wild animals, harsh weather, and the ever-present threat of bandits and drug cartels loom large. Hidden in the jungles of Cambodia, another city stands, with massive temples and eerie ruins that are just as sinister: the Angkor Wat. Once the majestic capital of the Khmer Empire, this city was truly an architectural wonder. The sprawling city, home to hundreds of thousands, was centered around the massive Angkor Wat Temple, a breathtaking structure that towered above the jungle. While the sheer size and intricacy of the stone carvings were incredibly overwhelming, it was the eerie stillness of the temple that made it so unsettling. The massive, lifeless statues of gods and kings appear to watch you, their eyes cold and unblinking. The stone faces, once full of divine power, now seem to leer at intruders, their expressions distorted by centuries of decay. On top of that, the legends of spirits and cursed artifacts and the violent history of the site only add to the fear surrounding Angkor Wat. You see, the Khmer Empire was riddled with numerous internal conflicts and brutal wars with neighboring kingdoms, not to mention the devastating Thai invasion in 1431 that almost led to the empire's downfall. Yet, despite its grandeur, this powerful city was abandoned. By the 15th century, a mix of water shortages, climate change, and invasions by the Siamese eventually brought the Khmer Empire to its knees. It was rediscovered in the 19th century by French naturalist and explorer Henri Mouhot. While the world was captivated by this find, there was something unsettling about the ruins. The temples, now choked with vines, seemed to hold on to the past, and the stories of curses that surround the site add an eerie layer to its beauty. Some say the spirits of the Khmer kings and gods, angered by the abandonment, still roam the temple, casting misfortune upon those who enter. It is rumored that trespassers who take artifacts from the site are cursed with bad luck or even death, with stories of treasure hunters vanishing without a trace. It's as if the jungle isn't just reclaiming the land, it's guarding the city's untold history. Far from Cambodia, in the depths of the Amazon rainforest, lies another ancient fortress city built by the Chachapoya civilization around 600 CE, Quelap. The city's towering stone walls reaching a deadly height of 20 feet and over 400 circular buildings stand as a testament to the skill and mystery of the people who built them. Known as the Warriors of the Clouds, the Chachapoya disappeared without a trace around 1500 CE, leaving behind a city that has largely remained untouched by time. What's more is that the journey to Quelap is far from easy. Its remote location deep within the Amazon rainforest, with thick vegetation and rugged terrain, makes navigation challenging. The path is often steep and slippery, with unpredictable weather that can turn the trails into muddy, treacherous slopes. Mysterious creatures and cryptids. Deep in the Congo Basin, a dinosaur-like monster is said to prowl in the swampy depths of its jungles, Mokele Mbembe. Descriptions of it are even more creepy. It's said to look like a living fossil and is often compared to a sauropod, a massive, lumbering beast with a long neck, a bulky body, and a tail that sweeps behind it like a weapon waiting to strike. Despite numerous expeditions by scientists and adventurers, no one has ever returned with concrete evidence of its existence, and the creature continues to remain hidden in one of the most perilous and unexplored corners of the Earth. However, what truly makes Mokele Mbembe terrifying is not just its prehistoric appearance, but the spine-chilling stories of its violent nature. Locals speak of the creature's brutal territorial instincts, attacking boats, dragging them under the water, and even snatching people from the shores in a flash. Far across the globe, in the dense jungles of Borneo in Sumatra, Southeast Asia, another mysterious creature stirs the Orang Pendek. This small, bipedal, ape-like creature has baffled scientists and cryptozoologists alike. Known for its uncanny intelligence and near impossibility to track, it's suspected to be an undiscovered species of ape or a living remnant of the extinct Homo floresiensis, the hobbit hominid. However, locals speak of the Orang Pendek with a fear that goes beyond the ordinary. Some say it can slip into the shadows, its presence marked only by an unsettling growl that echoes through the trees. tribes believe it's not just a creature, but a malevolent guardian of the forest, merciless to those who trespass. The jungle of Sumatra, with its treacherous terrain and venomous creatures, only amplifies the terror of encountering the orang pendek. Those who venture into its domain return with stories that send shivers down the spine, tales of glowing eyes following them through the darkness, a reminder that some legends are born from a very real, primal fear. However, in the jungle, it's not just the predators you need to fear. Some unsuspecting plants can also be lethal. Within Australia's rainforests lies a silent predator, a plant so deadly that even the slightest touch can send you spiraling into an unrelenting nightmare. The Gympie tree, with its seemingly innocent appearance, hides a terrifying secret. Its leaves, stems, and fruit are covered in needle-like hairs that inject a neurotoxin so potent it paralyzes within minutes. The pain that follows is unbearable, lasting for weeks, sometimes months, and in the worst cases, victims succumb to shock or death from the sheer agony. However, the dangers of nature's deadly flora aren't just confined to Australia. In the middle of the rainforests of the Caribbean and Central America, there's a tree that promises nothing but excruciating pain. The manchineel tree, seemingly harmless with its glossy leaves and tempting fruit, holds a deadly secret. Standing beneath its branches during a rainstorm can drench you in its toxic sap, leaving searing burns across your skin. However, the most deadly part about this tree is its fruit, known as the little apple of death. Just one bite can send your body into lethal shock, shutting down your organs before you even know what hit you. While the manchineel tree may seem like the ultimate plant-based menace, it's not the only one with a dark secret lurking beneath its surface. Far away in Southeast Asia, the strychnine tree silently waits, its deadly seeds hidden from view. Unlike the manchineel's blinding burns, this tree's venom is far more insidious. One bite, and your body is overtaken by violent convulsions and suffocation. A moment of carelessness in the jungle could mean a slow and excruciating end, as the tree's poison takes hold with no warning. However, the jungle doesn't just hide deadly vegetation, it conceals the haunting remains of explorers, warriors, and entire civilizations. Unsettling discoveries of human remains. In Papua New Guinea, the jungle entombs the remnants of brutal warfare, a silent witness to the horrors of World War II. The bones of fallen soldiers, half buried in the dirt, tell of a brutal, forgotten struggle in one of the most brutal and unforgiving places on Earth. Rusted weapons, tattered uniforms, and weathered personal belongings are scattered throughout the overgrown wilderness. But it's the way nature has claimed these remains, covering them with thick vines and moss, that feels especially terrifying. The eerie quiet of the jungle amplifies the ghostly presence of these artifacts, making it as though the soldiers' souls still linger in the air, forever trapped in the memory of their final moments. The remains were first discovered not long after, in 1945, by the locals. However, as the relics that were uncovered increased in number, the government decided to send out properly organized expeditions to unearth anything else that was hidden in the thick forest. Now, the jungle in Papua New Guinea may seem like a forgotten battleground, but it's not the only place where death's grip still lingers. Thousands of miles away, in Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula, another site covered in remnants of the Maya and the horrific rituals that took place the cenotes. You see, the Mayans turned these natural sinkholes into their personal altars for human sacrifices. When archaeologists unearthed these sacred sites, they found the remains of men, women, and children preserved in the waters. One of the most significant discoveries was made by Dr. E. Willis Andrews, an American archaeologist in the late 1920s when he explored the sacred cenote at Chichen Itza. He found a large number of human remains, which were believed to be the remains of sacrifices made to the Maya rain god, Chak. However, this begs the question, what significance did these sacrifices hold, and what was the reason behind them? Some scientists theorize that the cenotes were believed to be portals to the underworld, a gateway between the living and the gods. The Maya may have seen these offerings as a way to appease their gods, seeking divine favor in exchange for these sacrifices. Others suggest that these sacrifices were made to ensure fertility and prosperity for their civilization, as the cenotes were closely tied to water and life-giving resources. Regardless of the reason, the dark aura surrounding these ancient sites grows ever more ominous as the remains of the sacrificed, untouched by time, continue to stir fear. As if being the graveyard of numerous fallen soldiers and explorers wasn't enough, some jungles are downright cursed. Cursed and haunted locations. Transylvania is home to a place so unnerving that even the bravest souls hesitate to enter. Known as the Bermuda Triangle of Romania, the Hoia Baciu forest is infamous for its unsettling presence and terrifying reputation. The trees twist in unnatural ways, and strange lights blink in the distance. Those who've entered the forest report feeling intense fear, sudden sickness, and the feeling that someone or something is watching them. Some say they've seen shadowy figures hiding among the trees, and others have vanished completely, their screams echoing through the air. However, the terror doesn't end there. As if the chilling atmosphere of Hoia Baciu weren't enough to put you on edge, thousands of miles away in Cambodia lies another cursed place that is haunted by the old kings of the Khmer Empire, the Ta Prohm Temple. The ancient ruins are covered in giant tree roots, but it's not just the jungle that owns this place, it's the angry spirits of old kings. Locals believe the spirits of the Khmer kings punish anyone who disturbs their resting place. There are stories of explorers who recall hearing whispers in an unknown language or shadowy shapes that seem to vanish the moment they were spotted. While the Ta Prohm Temple may hold the restless spirits of ancient kings, a place even more unforgiving lurks thousands of miles away in the vast jungles between Panama and Colombia, the Darien Gap. Known for its dangerous swamps, wild animals, and tricky paths, it's not just the land that's deadly, it's the sinister legends that surround this place. Its remoteness and inaccessibility have led it to be the final resting place for countless explorers, missionaries, and travelers who dared to cross its treacherous expanse. Over the centuries, entire expeditions have vanished, leaving behind only whispers and rumors. In the early 1900s, a team of American explorers attempting to map the region disappeared without a trace, their final moments only hinted at in eerie, cryptic notes left behind. The jungle, it seemed, had swallowed them whole. However, if you were to ask the locals, they'd tell you that there is a far more sinister force at work. Some say the jungle is haunted by the spirits of those who were lost to its depths, their souls trapped in the thick, humid air, wandering the jungle in search of revenge. There are stories of people hearing footsteps behind them too close, too heavy, only to turn around and see nothing but shadows. Even if you make it out of its deathly grip, many say that they truly never escape the feeling that something or someone is still following them. Terrifying jungle diseases. In the suffocating silence of the wild, death waits in the form of tiny, unseen killers. Malaria, one of the most terrifying diseases lurking in the dense foliage, is carried by mosquitoes that inject a deadly parasite into their victims. The fever comes on quickly, searing through your body with chills, intense pain, and flu-like symptoms. If left untreated, it can quickly escalate to your organs, shutting down and leaving death in its wake. Now, don't think it's just a relic of the past. Malaria still haunts jungle regions today, lying in wait, claiming lives with chilling unpredictability. However, malaria is far from the only plague the jungle has in its arsenal. Another fatal disease carried by infected mosquitoes lurks silently in the humid air, yellow fever. It can start with mild flu-like symptoms, but quickly evolves into something far more sinister, a hemorrhagic fever that causes your body to bleed from every orifice, organs shutting down in a matter of days. Even with vaccines available, outbreaks still occur in remote regions, making every breath you take in the jungle a reminder of the lurking threat. Unfortunately, the horrors of lethal wild diseases don't end there. The jungle offers even darker dangers through a deadly parasitic disease spread by sandflies called leishmaniasis. The fly preys on the vulnerable, attacking both your skin and your organs. Now, leishmaniasis attacks your body in two different ways. First, it leaves behind gruesome, gaping ulcers that eat away at your flesh. Then it targets your organs, slowly destroying you from the inside. With no vaccine to protect against it, and its treatment an agonizing and uncertain journey, the disease seems to feed off the helplessness of its victims. As if the jungle's diseases weren't enough to contend with, nature also has a terrifying arsenal of insect swarms, each more unsettling than the last. Fearsome insect swarms. Danger lurks in every corner, often taking the form of swarming creatures that strike without warning. The Africanized honeybee, a deadly hybrid of African and European honeybees, is one of the most feared. Known for their hyper-aggressive nature, these honeybees respond to the slightest disturbance with unrelenting fury. Once provoked, they pursue their target with a terrifying determination, chasing intruders for hundreds of meters and delivering relentless, agonizing stings. Their venom alone isn't the killer, it's the sheer number of stings, each one amplifying the pain and pushing the body closer to collapse. Severe allergic reactions, organ failure, and suffocation from swelling are gruesome realities for those unlucky enough to encounter a hive. A single misstep could unleash a nightmare, transforming a moment of calm into a desperate struggle for survival. However, while bees might pose a threat in the air, an even more terrifying threat marches on the ground. In Africa and Asia, driver ants bring terror like no other. The air seems to shift as a faint rustling grows louder, a warning that comes too late. Then they appear, a writhing living wave consuming everything in their path with horrifying precision. Small animals, insects, and even humans caught unaware are reduced to nothing as the swarm tears through, leaving behind only bone and silence. What makes driver ants truly terrifying isn't just their numbers. Though a single colony can hold up to 20 million, it's their cold, calculated brutality. These ants hunt like an army, coordinated and relentless. Their razor-sharp mandibles latch onto flesh, clamping down with such force that they're nearly impossible to remove. Indigenous tribes have used them as emergency sutures, using their jaws to stitch up their wounds, a gruesome testament to their power. When they attack, there is no mercy. Victims, animal or human, are overwhelmed, swarmed by thousands of biting soldiers that climb over one another to ensure no escape. However, while these swarming creatures terrorize the land, beneath the rugged wilderness, there are countless unmarked graves of adventurers who vanished into thin air. Mysterious disappearances. When it comes to the ever-hostile Amazon rainforest, there are whispers of those who ventured into the unknown and never returned. One of them was the British explorer Percy Fawcett. In 1925, Fawcett, an adventurer with a reputation for fearlessness, set out into the Amazon rainforest on a quest to find the legendary lost city of Z. Armed with his maps and an unshakable belief in the city's existence, Fawcett and his team ventured deeper into the jungle than anyone had before. However, they never returned. As search parties combed the unforgiving terrain, they found only the remnants of their abandoned camp tents torn, supplies scattered, and an unnerving silence hanging in the air. No bodies, no clues, just a haunting emptiness. Over the years, rumors began to swirl. Had Fawcett discovered the fabled lost city, only to become a permanent part of its mythos? Or had the jungle swallowed him whole, a ruthless predator that claims the unwary? Theories of tribal encounters, treacherous terrain, and even supernatural forces emerged, but one thing remained terrifyingly clear. Despite decades of searching, no traces of Fawcett or his team were ever found. As the jungle swallowed Fawcett and his team, another story emerged from the depths of a different, yet equally unforgiving, wilderness. However, this time, it wasn't just the jungle's grip that led to death. Something supernatural or otherworldly might have been at work. In 1963, American missionary Jim Elliot, accompanied by 4 other missionaries, ventured into the unknown jungles of Borneo with hopes of peacefully connecting with the reclusive Huarani tribe. What began as a hopeful mission quickly descended into a nightmare. As they made their approach, the jungle itself seemed to come alive with the blood-curdling screams of an ambush. The missionaries were violently attacked and taken down in an instant by unseen forces. Was it a tragic misunderstanding? Or was something far darker at play, something that had lain in wait for centuries, hidden within the shadows of the jungle? Even after years of searching, the truth remains locked away in the dense, suffocating undergrowth, leaving only the horrific memory of the attack to haunt those who dare to ask what really happened that day. The mysteries of Fawcett and other explorers are far from isolated incidents. Deep within the world's most perilous jungles, adventurers have stumbled upon horrors that defy all logic. Encounters with creatures and forces that seem to come straight from a nightmare. Bizarre and unexplained encounters. During the Vietnam War, in the fog-drenched jungles of Vietnam, soldiers who had already faced unimaginable horrors found themselves confronted by a new terror. A bipedal animal, covered in reddish hair and hurling rocks with deadly accuracy. They were famously named the rock apes of Vietnam. During the brutal chaos of the Vietnam War, American soldiers patrolling the dense, fog-covered jungle came face to face with something they couldn't possibly understand. Bipedal creatures, covered in reddish hair, appeared from nowhere, launching rocks with terrifying precision. However, it wasn't the rocks that terrified the soldiers, it was the chilling, otherworldly cries these creatures emitted. The soldiers reported seeing creatures that didn't belong in any zoology book. They weren't hallucinations brought on by war, but something far stranger, creatures that shouldn't have been hiding in the jungle at all. The question still haunts those who were there, and no one's been able to solve it. However, whether it's a deadly animal or something darker, no one knows. Every sighting adds fuel to the fire, but still, no one has returned with proof. Startling archaeological discoveries. In the dark nooks of the Daintree rainforest in Queensland, Australia, a strange secret has been buried for over 40,000 years, waiting to be uncovered. In 1998, Dr. Peter Veth and his team made a chilling discovery: ancient rock art, preserved in time but filled with eerie depictions of the rainforest's most dangerous and deadly creatures: cassowaries, crocodiles, and turtles. These weren't just images of nature, they were foreboding symbols of doom and death, created with ochre and set deep within a jungle that has long been untouched by the modern world. Now, the reason behind the ancient rock art found in the Daintree rainforest remains shrouded in mystery. But it's clear that these images weren't just decorative, they were symbols of survival and spiritual significance, deeply tied to the land and its dangers. The Kuku-Yalanji people, long before the jungle became a backdrop for tourists and researchers, used these paintings to convey more than just the creatures that prowled the depths of the rainforest 20,000 years ago. The cassowaries, crocodiles, and turtles depicted in ochre were not just animals, they were representations of the jungle's raw power and the perilous balance between the people and the wild. Far across the globe in northern Peru, Walter Alva unearthed the huge tomb of a ruthless lord in 1987 in the Huaca Rajada forest in Lambayeque Valley. What lay inside seemed like a scene from a nightmare. The Lord of Sipan, a ruler who lived centuries ago, had been buried with unimaginable riches. But the most chilling part of the discovery was the mummified body surrounded by his attendant servants who had been sacrificed and placed in the tomb to accompany him into the afterlife. The silence of the tomb, left untouched for centuries, revealed a culture obsessed with death and the journey beyond. Gold, silver, and finely crafted textiles surrounded the royal figure, but it was the disturbing arrangement of bodies, frozen in their eternal roles, that truly unsettled the mind. Now, these relics, housed in the Museo Tumbas Reales de Sipan, continue to stir both fascination and fear, reminding us that some parts of history may be too unnerving to fully comprehend. However, the discoveries of ancient tombs and rock art are not the only things that haunt the jungles of the world. These dense, untamed forests are also home to legends that blur the lines between myth and reality. Ancient jungle legends and folklore. One of the most terrifying legends of the Amazon rainforest is that of a giant, fiery serpent said to have been born from the ashes of a great fire. The Boitata, with eyes that burn like flames, is believed to protect the jungle and punish anyone who dares to harm it. It is feared for its relentless and vengeful nature. Those who venture too far into the forest and disturb its sacred balance are said to face the wrath of the Boitata, which uses its fiery powers to trap them in an inferno. The sheer force of its flames, combined with its ethereal ability to appear out of nowhere, turns the jungle into an unforgiving and dangerous place. For centuries, the legend has terrified locals, as they believe it is not merely a creature of fire, but a being that can sense the very intentions of those who enter its domain, setting its fiery gaze upon any intruder who dares to threaten the fragile harmony of the rainforest. However, the Boitata's fiery reign over the jungle is not the only terror lurking in the depths of the wild. In the rivers and swamps of Borneo, a monstrous, shape-shifting serpent, just as terrifying, is said to terrorize the land, the Nabao. Those who venture too close to its territory speak of a deathly silence before encountering the creature's massive form lurking beneath the water's surface. Descriptions of the creature vary, but the one constant is its terrifying size. Now, some claim that it can transform into a giant crocodile, emerging from the water with jaws large enough to swallow an entire boat. Locals speak in hushed tones of the Nabau's deadly power, how it is said to have dragged entire villages into the water, swallowing them whole and vanishing back into the depths without a trace. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.